Hello Pilot, this is Fernando Z, developer of Hunternet, and in this video I'll cover stealth and sensor mechanics. In Hunternet, you have access to stealth equipment, and I'll be covering that later in this video. But the most important thing you need to learn is that even if you do not have any stealth equipment equipped, because sensors are limited in Hunternet, there's various things you can do to help avoid detection. The most important thing to know is that all sensors are limited by obstructions. So if you have an asteroid between you and your target, they're not going to be able to pick you up by either their short-range sensors, aka the radar, which is limited to 1.5 kilometers, and that's everything inside of this radar circle here, or their long-range sensors or scanners that go up on a fighter all the way up to 8 kilometers. Carriers have stronger sensors that go over long distances, but they also cannot see you past obstructions. Obstructions can either be asteroids or large objects such as carriers and space stations. Small objects such as fighters and wreckages will not block radars or scanners from picking you up. So all these, if you see things disappear from your radar circle, either they've left radar range or they have gone behind some obstacle that's blocking the radar from picking them up. Same thing with your contact. Just because a contact is no longer visible doesn't mean that they're no longer there. They might have gone behind an obstruction, and now your long-range scanners can no longer pick them up. The other way you can avoid getting picked up by radar or scanners is by staying close to a massive object like this one. Take a look at my signature light right here. If the signature light is off, that means I have my broadcast signal off, right? B as in boy, my signature is on. But the signature light, if I get close to a large object, close enough that it's masking my signature, the signal light will blink. So I'm close enough to this asteroid, and my speed is low enough, meaning my thrusters are not producing that much heat, that enemy scanners and enemy radar is not able to pick me up. They can still target you by visually pointing the nose of the ship at you and then pressing a targeting key. And once you have somebody targeted, the sensors are able to beam on that target and keep you targeted, even if you're masking an asteroid like this. So keep in mind that once somebody has you targeted, masking will no longer work. But this is a way for you to avoid being detected by radar or scanners while keeping a view, being able to see the enemy from your own ship, or even being able to target them. So it's very useful. You can target people like I'm doing right here. Keep an eye on the battlefield, and they won't be able to see you on their sensors. But if somebody does have you target locked, beware that they have you targeted, and it doesn't matter that you're not showing up on sensors, because their sensors are beamed at you and are able to track you despite you using a carrier or space station or asteroid to mask your sensor signature. The other thing is some players might visually see you, avoid target locking you, and then since you're low and slow, so to speak, get up close and take you out before you realize that they have visually spotted you. So it's a useful technique, but it does have its limitations, just like anything in Hunternet. So finally, another way to avoid detection is simply to stay outside of range. So get outside of radar range, the radar won't pick you up. Radar range is again 1.5 kilometers on fighters. Stay outside of 8 kilometers, and long range sensors on fighters will also not be able to pick you up. But carriers have much longer ranges. I believe theirs are currently set at 16, or double that of fighters. Once you leave sensor range though, sensors can still pick up faint signals, and you will show up as an unidentified faint signal. You can see that I have a faint signal here on the edge of my radar ring. The edge of the ring represents things being picked up by your long-range scanners. So my long-range scanners have picked up a faint signal towards my 2 o'clock. I don't know if it's friend or foe. I only have a general idea of where it's at, because the farther away it is, the weaker the signal is, the more it's gonna the noise is going to interfere with getting a very accurate lock. But if I head in that direction, eventually the target can come into range, and then the IFF system should kick in and be able to identify if it's friend or foe. There, in this case, it happens to be a foe. So yeah, so staying out of range will make it hard for people to know if you're friendly or foe, but keep in mind they can still try to follow that weak sensor signature and find you. The system is only able to track a limited number of signals from far away, so there's lots of faint signals. It'll be easier for you to get lost within that noise. And finally, the last way you can defeat sensors is to use stealth or silent running. You need to equip that on your ship. I've already equipped that here as my second hardpoint. I currently have it disabled. If you want a refresher any time on how to use stealth, the in-game description goes over all the details, but I'll be demonstrating how it works. So the way stealth works is first you have to press the button associated with the hardpoint to enable it. Once stealth powers up, the stealth light will turn on and your cockpit will be infused by this red glow of the stealth light, letting you know that stealth is currently activated. While stealth is activated, you will generate a lot of heat, and if you generate too much heat, stealth would no longer function and you should unpower it. But while you're stealth, you will be invisible to long range scanners unless they have you targeted. Once you're targeted, stealth no longer masks you from the sensors. Just like once you're targeted, even if you're masking your signal by being on an asteroid, that will no longer mask you if they have you targeted, because the ship is able to beam the radar onto you and track you even if your stealth is minimizing your signature. But as long as nobody has you targeted, then you're not showing up in their contacts list, you're not showing up on the edge of the radar ring, and you're invisible to long-range scanners. If you get within radar range, you will show up on the radar, but you'll show up on the radar as an unidentified signal, one of these circles with a little dash coming out of it. So they won't know if you're friend or foe, and your signature is weak, so you'll move around. There'll be noise. They won't know exactly where you're at. It'll be harder for them to turn and face you and find you. But if they're careful and they follow that weak sensor signature, they can turn their nose towards you, target you, and then you're no longer going to be hidden from them once you've been targeted. So try to be careful once you start getting into radar range. The good thing is, while you're stealth, you can still target people, and they will also not be notified by the target lock detected alarm system that you have targeted them. So you can target them, keep an eye on the range, and just be careful once you get into radar range that they can detect you at that point. Even though they're not going to get a good signal, they will know somebody is on radar range. They might assume that it's a friendly, or they might not notice it just in the heat of battle, but be wary of that. The other thing is, once your stealth is up, not only do you have to worry about the heat generation, because stealth is emitting a lower signature, the PIP system, which depends on sensors, is also disabled. So you get this fallback system. This is why the enemy doesn't know that you have been targeted, because the normal scanning that is being done to more accurately measure the ship to generate the pips is disabled to limit the target lock indicator alarm from raising. So you only have access to the PDI, the predicted direction indicator. It's not as easy to use or as accurate as a PIP, but it means that you can still have some assistance with leading your target even while stealth. If they target you, conversely, they also will no longer have access to their pips, because their target computer will have trouble getting the information it needs to generate the pip tracking solution. So it works both ways. But in general, the person using stealth will be at a disadvantage, because while both of you will no longer have access to your pips, you will be under the additional heat generation penalty. And if anytime you use power burn, it will also shut down stealth. So if you are an experienced pilot, though, that can be a worthy trade-off, and that's one reason why it can make sense to keep stealth up even after the enemy has you targeted. It also is a good way to make it harder for an enemy to third-party you, since without a pip, those shots can be a little bit harder to make. So using stealth as a reactive tool, think of it as as a weaker version of the jamming device the light fighter has, but unlike the jamming device, it's available on all fighters. And finally, just like stealth makes it harder for the target computer to generate a pip firing solution, it also makes it harder for guided rockets like short-range missiles or long-range missiles to track your ship. They still will track your ship, unlike with the jamming device where you can jam the short-range missiles completely and blow them up. They'll still be tracking your ship. It's just that the guidance won't be as accurate, and that means it will require less maneuvering on your part to avoid the missiles. I'm going to try to show it off here against this enemy carrier. Turn on short-range missile, turn on stealth, and it should be a lot easier for me to avoid these SRMs. You still need to maneuver because they still are tracking, but the tracking won't be as powerful. So very useful to use stealth around carriers since they have so many missiles. And if somebody launches a long-range missile at you, I recommend turning on stealth. So in a way, stealth also functions similar to the inertia dampener, where it's a useful tool for new players. Inertia dampener is the equipment that makes it easier for your pilot to resist G-forces, avoiding blackout for longer. With stealth, a new pilot can remain hidden longer, letting you as a new player observe the battlefield, get a better feel for how the combat is going, and then dictating more the terms of your fight. It also will make it easier for you to avoid missiles, helping you learn how to maneuver against missiles. And once you become more comfortable, you can use stealth less and less, or switch out stealth completely for some other more offense-oriented hardpoint. So I hope this video has been helpful in understanding Hunternet's stealth systems. Stealth is a very important part of the game, and so it's important that all pilots are familiar with it. And one last thing I should mention, though, is that there's an alien nebula, and this is something that's going to play a bigger role in the Persona universe. The alien faction will be able to generate these particle nebula, artificial particles that they generate, further reduce the effectiveness of your sensors. It cuts the range of long-range sensors by half. It means that pips, the lead firing solution indicators that you get when you get close to enemy, are no longer available. So using stealth inside a nebula is not, you still get the benefits that it provides, but it's not as big of an advantage because sensors are already being limited by the nebula itself. So keep that in mind. But stealth can also be seen as sort of a midway point between regular space and alien nebula space. That's it for this video. See you in the next one, pilot. Good hunting, and sneak up on your enemies.